Hello, everybody. It is June 9th, 2025 at 7:05 p.m., and you are watching the Dovecote episode 69 on 6/9 with Satah. Satah, please say hello and introduce yourself for those who don't already know who you are. Oh wait, hold. I think I have some audio issues. Yes, I think I know exactly what's happening. Okay. Yes, because this needs to be on a virtual cable, which is an easy fix, thankfully. Okay. Talk again?
Hello, I'm speaking words into my microphone.
Cool. This is why I usually this is why I do 15 minutes of tech. And I did, but I didn't look at the I didn't look at the audio gauge. Alright, Satah, please introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Satah. I use they them pronouns, and may I be the first to formally say nice. I am a TTRPG editor and occasional designer, and I have a podcast called Folio where I have people come on and play solo games, and then I edit them together to be like, here's different ways you can play solo games. And I'm around. I do things. I've as you say, fingering pies.
You're fingering pies in a really in a way that people have a lot of questions about.
Yeah.
I'm gonna push your RSS for Folio. I rather like Folio, and I'm not just saying that because I was on one. When I have had the time to listen to Folio, and unfortunately my job does not always permit me to listen to podcasts. I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Do you want to tell folks? I think you kind of outlined it, but do you want to kind of go a bit more in depth into what Folio is?
Yeah. Basically, I call it multi-guest solo game actual play. But essentially, I play solo games. I play a solo game, and then I get a couple other people to completely separately play the same solo game as me. And then I edit all three of the playthroughs together to be like, hey, here's our different experiences. Here's the places we overlapped. Here's the places that we went really different directions tonally. And technically, the full logline is like solo and epistolary or paced games because I basically I'm just fascinated by the entire game space that is like games you play with another person essentially.
Sorry, could you just repeat that? You kind of cut out a little bit. Just the bit about games you play.
Yeah, games you play without having to schedule anything with another person.
Right. Okay.
Also known as the game Um, yeah, it is really lovely. It is a show that like I just kind of thought would be cool to do, and then as soon as I started doing it, like the very first series that I put together, which is the first series that went out, the Accomplice series, with Caleb Zane Hewitt and Tomas Jimenez Rioja.
Mhm.
Like as I was editing it, I was like, "Oh, this idea is even better than I thought." Hell yeah.
Yeah,
It actually works real good.
it's like it's interesting because I think you've answered a question about like how does one like how does one do an AP of solo games in a way that's like interesting and dynamic? Um, and I feel like you found it. Like I feel like you nailed it in one.
Yeah, I'm really delighted with it. And like I know that there are a lot of people out there doing cool solo game stuff, but I also like actual play, but I also know that it is genuinely easier to like really sort of get a grasp on if there are like multiple storylines and multiple perspectives and just kind of like more to bounce around between. So I think that it offers sort of a unique way to be like, ooh, here's a bunch of different people experiencing this game. Especially it's such like an inherently obviously singular experience. You're playing a game by yourself. And the transmuting that into something that can be shared is really delightful for me.
Yeah, I think like in doing that, like you mentioned the sort of like self-directed element that a lot of these games have, and I think that can create like a. I mean, I know this because I I tried to do a solo AP at one point of Wanderhome.
Mm.
It can kind of the self-directedness can kind of infect the game, infect the AP a little bit in some ways, where you are like things wind up being very slow. At least that was my experience trying to do it live, especially. Um,
Oh yeah.
but I think by editing like multiple voices and having multiple segments with different people, you've really like uh, I think you've avoided a lot of the potential pitfalls while also like creating some really interesting benefits.
Thanks. Yeah, I love it. I really love doing it. It is a lot of work, but it also, as I've spoken about a couple times publicly recently, like
Mhm.
I I love games so much. The secret come out. I love games.
Holy shit!
And so like I want to play solo games, but I am truly terrible at doing quote unquote unproductive things with my time. Um like I want to play solo games because I love games and I want to engage in mechanics, 24/7, and if I have the energy to play a solo game, my brain will really get on my case about like why would you play a solo game right now? Why wouldn't you like write a story or work on music or do other creative stuff? Um and it's like a little embarrassing to me how well it worked to be like, "Oh, but I can play a solo game if I'm creating content, right?" And
Uh-huh.
it turns out, yes, I can. So it was an excuse to play more games, which I always want.
Yeah, I just want to point out if you hear tapping, it is probably either me fidgeting with things on my desk or my girlfriend cooking in the other room. She just fed me a delicious bite of chicken, uh, and I'm gonna eat this meal during the show. I hope we just need to all be aware and ready for this. I,
I don't hear tapping, so it's probably my fault, and it is also probably me fidgeting with stuff. I apologize.
that's okay. This is a show where you're allowed to fidget with things. I don't listen. This doesn't go on the podcatchers. It's a silly show. Speaking of silly shows, like these birds need to leave in a real way. Uh, and then one of them needs to like come back as if she wasn't as if she wasn't there the whole time. Okay. Um, but yeah, I really I'm trying to I remember the last thing you said. It's just like I gotta fight through the fog.
Yeah.
About wanting to play solo games. I've had an interesting experience recently that hasn't been related to TTRPG, but I think is kind of the experience that I have with thinking about playing solo games. Um, which is like I started playing modded Minecraft and I was like, oh, I'm gonna make so much cool stuff in this. And then I was like, but if I open Clip Studio Paint right now, I can make a really beautiful painting. like
Yeah.
and sometimes you have to like compartmentalize what is work and what is play and like uh you know think about like making art for pleasure and making things like game art, things that are like art for pleasure. um it's a tricky thing to be like both a creator and a person who like wants to play things that involve a lot of effort and like intent.
Yeah, it's something that I think I have sort of like a constantly evolving and dynamic relationship to, and I think one that is healthier than it used to be, but like I've always been in awe of people. I'm a musician and I had I've always had a tendency to write a song and then immediately publish it. Like I'll write a song and it'll be on YouTube the next day. And then I would meet people who are like, they just can write songs and don't even share them. And I would be like, should I be more like you? Like, should I be trying to do this just for me? And I think that I'm at a better, healthier place with it where like I'm doing stuff for me, but I also think that it's okay to find genuine joy in the act of sharing it. But like, it can be compulsive and unhealthy
Mhm.
as, kind of anything can, and I just have to constantly make sure that I'm not being a weird productivity devil to myself, and actually being like, "Do I wanna share this because I wanna connect with people, or do I wanna prove to the world that, 'Hey, look at me, look at how creative and smart I am, and also I do things. I'm not lazy, I'm good, actually. I'm ethically good because I've created something. Look at me. Hey, everybody, look at me.'"
or
Those are
or d-
different instincts.
yeah, or do I want to sell this thing good style, like that's become
Yeah,
a
I
thing for me
mean,
recently.
It's I personally don't struggle with that as much because I know that I fucking hate selling things and I never ever want to do it ever. It feels so bad to me all of the time and I never enjoy it. It is something that I will do, but I truly never feel good putting a price tag on something that I've made, and I know that that's complicated for
Yeah,
a variety of reasons.
I feel similarly though, at least in terms of the like. I think the thing that I tell myself is like, oh, you're making this piece of art because it's like gonna promote this thing, and then I realize like, oh wait, hang on, I'm actually enjoying this process quite a bit. Um,
Yeah.
but then I also make all my games either free or like $7.50. So, you know,
Yeah.
it's hard. Um,
I've sort of gone back and forth. Like all of my music used to be free, and then sometimes I put a dollar amount on it just so that I can be like, "Hey, I need to put a dollar amount on this so that I can." That's the only way Bandcamp will let me sell all of it at once. If
mm,
you want the convenience of buying it all at once, or I've done things where I'll charge for an album for the first 3 months, and then after that it's free. And I'm just kind of always trying to find the balance of what feels good because I mean a huge part of this is just that I know that I am not somebody who has the hustle to purely live off of a creative career because of how much
yeah,
I hate it. And so I think that the pressures that I feel are very different because I just don't consider it a particularly reasonable goal for myself because it would just mean creating a life that I don't enjoy living, and that's not great.
yeah.
So, you know.
I've started to feel similarly lately. I currently work a job that like overwhelms me, and has me like leaving with shit still on the table, and I'm like, I don't think I want that, but I also don't want to be like grinding to do freelance shit all the time. I think I want a
Yeah.
job where I'm at a desk and no one's looking at me, and I have like two things I have to do in the morning, and then I can work on TTRPGs for the rest of it for fun.
Yep. Yep. It's finding that balance. I also know that I can't have a job that I just truly don't care about. Um, because I just know that I can't do it, but trying to find that balance of like that's one of the reasons why I started, I went to school for technical writing,
Mm,
and that's because it's something that like I find satisfying to do that also does not ask very much of my heart, and that for me is perfect. That's what I would love my day job to be. I mean, it would be great if I could have work that is actually satisfying and uh pays the bills and stuff. I just unfortunately don't think that exists, and so I would prefer a job that I find satisfying and I can engage with, but don't have to care deeply about, and I can reserve my care for the things outside of it. It's not an awesome teeter totter to balance, but
hmm
I apologize if I'm bringing a truly insane vibe into this conversation.
No,
I've been thinking a lot about all of this.
I love this. This is fucking. What was I? So recently, I did the press kit for the show, which I'll be putting out soon. And one of the quotes that I really liked from Z Gosk, who's a frequent commenter and viewer and guest, and makes some really good fucking old school and weird and kinky YouTube video essays about TTRPGs. But one of the things that they said was like this the show is like you're hanging out in your weird friend's basement. And I think this is a very weird friend's basement conversation. This is a very like, hey, what are we doing after high school type
Oh
conversation.
my god. I have literally been thinking about that so much because I've been having this very specific memory of being in the 6th grade and like somebody it was like I was in an elementary school that only went up to grade 6, and so it was near the end of grade 6 and everybody was having like an existential crisis. Somebody like went around the whole class. It was like, I need you to sign this petition that says we'll always be friends.
Oh my
And I remember like
god.
looking at it and
Oh.
me, this like weird cynical little 11 or 12-year-old being like, I don't think this is realistic. I'm not
Oh
gonna
my
sign
god,
this.
that's fucking devastating.
And then me being like, I would love to be friends. I'm not gonna sign something about it. Um and I've been thinking a lot about how I would have these daydreams about like, and then me and my friends will buy a castle and we'll all just live together and have a good time. And that was like a daydream. And I think that I still do the same thing, just the like 30 or 40-year-old version of it, where I'm like, and then my friends and I will open a co-op TT like board game cafe that has indie TTRPG nights, and there will be profit sharing with local artists and blah 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 blah. And it's the same thing. It's the exact same thing, just a few decades later.
This time it'll happen though, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, it would be nice. It's nice to think about.
The like, is it bad that when you said uh like the thing about the kids signing the thing of like we're all gonna be friends forever, the thing that I immediately thought of is like TTRPG family shit, like hashtag TTRPG family shit.
I don't know that I'm familiar with
Okay,
that.
so this was a thing on Twitter. I think it was pretty short lived because like people kind of got wind of it like being bad and unhealthy, and were like, "Hey, you should stop doing this." Um, but it was basically like some dude ass dudes would like post like hashtag it would be like share Saturday hashtag TTRPG family, like share something that you're working on below and make sure you retweet all the other stuff that that's been replied. Um, but like Nazis were getting in the replies because like of course they would, and like when like someone who's in the hashtag TTRPG family fucks up, like what do you do at that point? You're kind of just in a you've already identified this person as a good and cool person, and then you're kind of just like you're keeping a space open for people to be good and cool as long as they like TTRPGs, which does really feel like a letter signed by all sixth graders saying we will be friends forever.
Oh boy.
I would love to talk a bit about Going Rogue, your work on Going Rogue and Galactic. We had Jess on I believe 2 episodes ago, and we talked about
Yeah.
the overall. But I'd love to hear about what specifically you're doing, because I know you've a lot of hands on the project.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, my relationship to it kind of goes back to the inception of the game and even Galactic. I mean, I helped playtest. I was in a group that helped playtest 2E. Like my relationship to
Mm-hmm.
Galactic is not quite as intertwined, but with Going Rogue, I did a bunch of like and editing and stuff as Jess was developing it. Um, and I've just sort of every time the game has been updated, I've been a decently large part of that, just at least the conversations around it developmentally and that kind of thing. And so when the crowdfunder started up, it was like, yeah, of course I'm going to be super involved. I have been, trying to do a bunch of like helping out with behind the scenes stuff as much as possible, because turns out pulling off a crowdfunder of this scale
Mm-hmm.
takes a lot of work, and some of it's in spreadsheets, so I'm happy to do it. And I what else have I even been up to? I edited Galactic and Going Rogue, just like did some like the new editions, and I have produced slash edited both actual plays, and I was in one. And theoretically,
Oh
with stretch
yeah,
goals, I will be doing some writing for Going Rogue as well, writing some places. Oh, and I'm doing automated spreadsheet character keepers. I think that's pretty much the list.
agreed. Wait, why did I say agreed? Sorry, I was looking at chat and I read something that I
Uh-huh.
agreed with, and then. But yeah, that's all really cool. I'm really excited that that's happening. The moment like I was aware that Jess was putting that together, I was like, oh, that's gonna be fun having just a really nice fancy version of Galactic and
Yeah.
Going Rogue.
It's
I
so
like those
nice, and
games.
I think, like, they're good games is the thing about them, and, like, this everybody involved is somebody who, like, has been involved in the games for quite a while, and so it's just this, like, cool celebration of its history. I believe I saw Will Yobst in the chat, and I'm really excited to be tag teaming a little bit of editing with them. That's gonna be really, really cool. And yeah, I'm excited to hold a book in my hand that I knew as a baby Google Doc. That'll be really fun and nice.
Yeah, I think like in terms of the the the, the vicinity of folks who are working on the project uh to Galactic, I think like something that I think Jess said last time was that she wanted to kind of uh I said not reward, but she wanted to bring in people who had been involved in the past. And then I also think like it's uh it's cool to see, like, I feel like Galactic 2E is such a huge game in ways that people don't fully understand. I've posted
Yeah.
about this before, but like it introduced the like lateral move stuff. It introduced a lot of the like what if a BOB had like little guys in it. I'm trying to think of how exactly the traits and location system is what I'm talking about here. Um, but in effect, I think that's kind of just like you know uh giving BOB a little bit more like teeth in some ways. Not to say that like you know Dream Apart and Dream Askew are bad or anything, or similar like pre-galactic stuff like Before the Spire Falls, but I do I do quite like like I think post galactic BOB games are notably better for having or not better necessarily, but I enjoy them more for having a little bit more like tangibility.
Yeah, I mean, I love Dream Askew, Dream Apart, but I agree that Galactic was an incredible evolution of the form, um, which is always just fascinating to me. Like when a system catches on, the way that it changes through different iterations. I played some like Monster Hearts 2 recently, and I commented on the fact that a lot of the moves don't have a fail state.
Mm.
It's just like if you succeed, this happens. If success, this happens, and there's no fail state. And I was like, oh, that's odd. And then I was like, wait a second, and I went back and I read the Apocalypse World moves, and I was like, oh yeah, this this wasn't really as much of a thing in the original format of a PBTA game. It's just kind of like, here's what it means is if it succeeds or if it's a mixed success. If it's a failure, the GM can make a move as hard as they want, basically. Um, and it's fascinating because that is something that I love so much about a lot of modern PBTA games
Yeah.
that isn't in Apocalypse World proper, and I don't really think that Apocalypse World is lacking for it. I love
No, it doesn't need
Apocalypse
it.
World. So it's fascinating the ways that like the different branches and evolutions, because I know that Riley was also influenced by uh I want to say Wanderhome when it came
Mhm.
to adding places. Um
Well, I think.
because that was not a thing in the first edition, but it is in the second. I think that she was influenced by Wander Home, but I know that she did a lot of the stuff that she did to tie all of the different pieces together mechanically by integrating them into the token economy. I love and I think are so cool and great.
Yeah. I agree. I think that it's interesting because I can never quite keep track of where some of those like I hate that I'm gonna use this phrasing neo bob elements come in. But like because I think like a lot of that stuff was very my brain can only come up with incestuous right now, which is not what I mean, but you know, it is a word I suppose I could use for that.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, I think there's just like there's a lot of overlap and like a lot of people having conversations about things in that era. And then going rogue is also so fucking good. I love how much it elaborates on that baseline and how many fiddly bits exactly grilling and how many fiddly bits it adds. Um,
Yeah, it and I mean it's something that I think a lot about. I've played a lot of belonging outside belonging games and I love them very deeply. And also they are not easy to play. They ask a lot of you. Um it- and it can be deceptive because character creation and world creation can feel so good. And then you are kind of left a little bit more on your own for the actual game, and that can be really, really difficult. And one of the things that going rogue does that, like, acts as a little bit of a hack with for that is giving the players an intrinsic motivation or an extrinsic motivation, I guess, like
mhm.
providing a structure so you know what you're working towards. And I don't think that every single GM-less game needs something like that, but with belonging outside belonging, it can genuinely be quite difficult to get motivated. Ooh, I put a fun new emphasis on motivated there. I think I was
Motivated.
trying
I
to
like
say
motivated.
I think I was trying to say like motivator and motivated. I don't know what I was doing, but I was evolving the word. It's difficult, and going rogue really like gets around that by being like, hey, here's something that you're gonna do.
Yeah, it's
And I
great.
think that's really helpful.
Yeah. Um, I should point out my beautiful girlfriend did. I'm fairly certain my beautiful braless girlfriend did just give me food unasked for, so I just feel like people should know that. And apparently don't have bottle opener, so my Mexican Coke is languishing. But
Ugh.
uh, I I very much agree. Like I think it's cool to kind of Giving B.O.B. like a little bit more like less sandbox, more grand machine type vibes. It's fun. More fucking marble machine shit where you're kind of going down a course that has an inevitable ending. Oh, she got it. She popped it. Thank you. Okay. Sorry for this.
One time I opened a bottle with my eyelash curlers and it made me feel like a very powerful femme.
That's really powerful. How stiff is that eyelash curler?
Oh, it gets the job done.
I guess so. Holy shit. So one other thing I wanted to ask about, because I mentioned this to you before the stream. I got home today and I was like, all right, I'm gonna like lock in and like just check a couple last Satah related things. And I was like, I'm gonna listen to this Matt Calder podcast with Satah on 2x speed while I play Armored Core 6. And then I started listening to a little bit of it. And you two sound like chipmunks, which was pretty funny. But I got to the point where you were like, I also do a musical project called People You Meet at Bars, but that's not really relevant. And I was like, I took that as a challenge. I took that as a threat. And so I listened to one of your albums, and I'm curious. I'm actually curious about two things. One, do you like / have you heard of the Scary Jokes?
The sorry?
The Scary Jokes, the band?
No.
Okay, good to know. There were some vocal qualities that reminded me a little bit of them.
Ooh.
And my other question, which is more relevant to this show, is so like you do a lot of like audio editing, kind of for your podcast stuff, and you also, I presume, do mastering for your music. Is there any overlap between those two things? Where do those things diverge?
Oh, yeah, totally. I do want to say briefly, it is people you meet outside of bars, which is only important because, like, I'm sober now, and the only thing that makes me feel okay about still having that as a name is that it is technically now more true than ever. You will not meet me at a bar. And is there overlap? I mean, I am a pretty terrible engineer when it comes to music. I'm okay. I get it done. But I historically, like, I started recording music in like 2008, 2009 with like a desktop microphone. You know those ones that like kind of like are like wiggly and bend like the Pixar lamp?
Yeah.
Like I had one of those, and that was how I started recording. And it just like the audio quality was so bad that I always had to do everything in one take because there would be so much noise that there was no like cutting stuff together. It would just be too obvious. And I just kind of got in that habit with my music. I almost never comp tracks together or do a lot of that kind of editing. It is often just like I record, maybe slap a little reverb on, and then we're done. And a huge part of that I've been thinking about recently is that I was actually having a conversation with Jess about of some very
Oh, sorry, you're cutting out a little bit.
Yeah, sorry.
You're having a conversation
I was talking with Jess about this recently, that she and I have some very similar like neuroses about making things good. But we've responded to them in very different ways, where she will like really focus on making something perfect before it's released. And I respond to it by refusing to make anything perfect because I know that it'll never be good enough for me. And so I, with music, don't do a lot of mastering or anything because I know that if I fall down that rabbit hole, I will drive myself crazy and have a bad time and not release anything, and I would like to. it has like several years of working on music have given me some probably helped in learning to like wrangle audio, but I do genuinely think that more relevant is the fact that I started editing really stupid little movies together when I was like 12 years old.
Hmm.
Um, and I wanted to be a film editor as a
Okay.
career when I was a teenager and did a lot of that stuff. But I think that like it did technically give me some proficiency in just the act of working with audio and specifically doing live performance gave me the ability to do real quick and dirty, like set up a microphone and like make it sound fine and speak into a microphone and have good mic technique generally and that kind of thing. And so like it all contributes, but it is not as relevant as it could be because my approach to editing a podcast is so precise and intense and directed, and my approach to editing music and making music is the opposite. And I don't know why that is, but it
Hmm.
but it just is. Yeah, I don't
Do you
know. I
think it's
guess I
that
guess because also for me music is about like specifically songwriting
Hmm.
is I think where I shine, and so I'm just like this is a good song. You'll get that if I just put it out. Good luck. Bye.
Yeah. Do you think, not to psychoanalyze you, but do you think it's because like maybe you need a space where you're like able to be a little bit less honed?
Yeah, I mean, hilariously, people you meet outside of bars is not that.
Okay.
Because the songwriting is pretty intense and
Hmm.
precise. But I do have another musical project called Piloting the Animal, which is like an experimental electronic and poetry project that I started literally specifically because I was driving myself crazy working on music, and I had a really negative. I played a lot of live shows, and I love playing
Okay.
live shows
Hmm.
so much. And also, I was never saying no to a show, and so I was playing a
Right.
lot of bad shows that didn't give me back the energy that I put into them. And so I needed a project where I could just sit down and make something in 45 minutes. And if it sounded bad, that's good because it was on purpose. I needed a like, this is my make ugly art space where I literally cannot fail because the point is to fail. And so if I fail, it is a success. Um, and that's what piloting the animal is. And it is I don't return to it enough, honestly. It would be really good for me to indulge in that more because it is so good to have a space where I can just like glitch something out and improvise with a synth for 45 minutes and that kind of thing. But for people you meet outside of bars, the actual recording of it is pretty laissez-faire, but everything leading up to it requires a lot of brain power. And so I unfortunately don't actually I'm not good at relaxing. I'm not good at
Sure.
relaxing. So
Yeah. I feel like for me, I have like I work on Sapphic World, which is like very precise, like it has to be in palette, like in terms of like visual art. I'm thinking specifically, very
Mhm.
precise has to be in palette. Um, like it has techniques that like tie into thematic elements. Like it's really like pointillism is dreams in Sapphic World. Like you have to
Yeah.
be so careful. And then I have We Live Forever, where it's just like I can a couple. Well, let me hang on. Let me see if I can pull up a recent "We Live Forever" and "We Love to Live" piece because like I got silly with it recently. Um, where's my where's my bassoon man? Here's my bassoon man on top of all the gummy instruments. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Look at this fucking
absolutely.
freak. But yeah, like I like things where it's like I'm just gonna get a bunch of images and dither them and like fucking recolor them to hell. Uh,
Yeah.
you need a toy box a little bit at some point.
Absolutely true.
Yeah, but I think it's interesting here that you have different you know kind of different outlets that you approach in different ways. Um, thank you for answering that question. Um,
Yeah, absolutely.
let me see. Yeah, I feel like we could hop into the news perhaps. Maybe roll through roll through the first one because it's got a bit more meat on its bones, and then maybe take a break and hop into the second one.
Sure.
Hell yeah! All right, I'm going to everybody send questions to darlingdemoneclipse@gmail.com for myself and Satah. I would love to hear from you, and we would love to discuss your wisdoms and your questions. And also, you can just ask them in chat when we get to the question portion. So the first bit here is oh boy, I sometimes I put these here and I'm like, oh, I put myself in front of like a fucking firing line a little bit. So this is a bundle. I'm not gonna link this bundle because I don't think you should. I don't think you should contribute to it. And before you're like, but don't you support Ukraine? Let me explain. So this bundle donates to this charity foundation. Specifically, it's donating to this particular page on it, which is like the healthcare page of this site. But this site has like fundraisers for all sorts of Ukrainian things, including drones, um, radio communication equipment, a lot of military elements. And so there was some discussion on Blue Sky about that. Might as well just read part of this thread from Laurie O'Connell. Really need people to check the website of the charity that the bundle is donating to before agreeing to be part of it. Currently, a 250 plus game bundle advocating to save Ukraine's hospitals is being shared around. The bundle says openly the organization that it is going to directly donate money to. Whilst it is likely that the bundle will donate to the specific medicine-related fundraiser on the organization's page, I don't think most people involved in the bundle will be aware that 90% of what the specific organization donates to is the Ukrainian military. For example, this is one of the headline fundraisers on their page, which is Swarm Revenge, drones. I did a little bit of extra looking because I don't even want to give this person attention, but someone made this post that was like, actually, guys, this is an organization founded and run by volunteers, and you don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. So I think this person read volunteers and employees and read that as volunteers, but this is a company, like, and so the fact that they are a company means that they are essentially a private military financier for the Ukrainian army, which is interesting. And my main thing with this is just like, is it possible that this page directs medical aid to is it possible that every dollar that you put into this directs medical aid straight to Ukrainians? Like, possibly, but it is it is like putting a drop of blood in like a lake with a bunch of sharks and one piranha, and hoping that the piranha eats the drop of blood. I don't know. How do you feel about the state? I've kind of rambled on it.
Yeah, I mean, I genuinely have no idea. I haven't like looked. I saw some of this thread going around a bit, but I haven't like looked deeply into the charity. It like I think generally it would be better not to support militarization financially. I also don't know where that lands when it comes to like people protecting themselves when bad stuff. I don't know if it, but like I don't know what this charity is, and I do think that just generally there should probably be more transparency, I guess, about what you're funding, but then like it's on there, so people could look into
Yeah.
it. But but obviously it seems like a lot of people felt deceived. And I don't really know what that says about, like, how the, uh, outreach was done for it, like, what were people told when they were putting their games in this bundle? Because I definitely saw a lot of people express surprise at what the group
Yeah.
is, and that's not ideal. That should never be a surprise, and I don't know if that comes down to, like, those people didn't put in the amount of effort that they should to look into it, or if there was some amount of sort of obfuscation about what it would be. I don't know. It's an odd thing that happens with this, like, charity bundle paradigm, I guess, that we've created, that stuff like this is gonna happen, and necessarily it seems like a path to accountability if it is misused, which is a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I have. I'm gonna at some point. I'm gonna write an entire blog about this because I have a lot of opinions on this. Not this in particular, but there was another bundle that was like a revenue share bundle that was saying like this is a bundle for justice and equality, and it was like it was rev share, and the only condition for being in the bundle was like if you say you support justice and equality. Um,
Yeah.
my I just heard my girlfriend chuckle about that. Um, but like I think you know I'm being a little what's the word, like a little sassy. Um, I do think like ultimately I think you're absolutely right. Like there are a lot of questions that come up about like where the scrutiny falls with this that like really don't have easy answers. Um,
Yeah.
and I also think like there aren't really easy answers about what this charity is or does based on like what I've seen from it. Um, I'm sure that there are people who would know better, who like live in the region. Um, but yeah, it's an interesting one. I think my my main message here would just be like be careful what you click. Like be careful what you click
Yeah.
yes on. Um, I like for example when I put games in the recent actually the next thing we're going to talk about in the ice out of LA bundle, I was like very careful to look at the charities that they had because I was worried about something like this happening again. Although it's just the human who I think has like a pretty good track record on this stuff, but it was nonetheless I think worth looking into. Um, but yeah, I think generally I just I want people to be a little bit more careful, but I also understand that like there's a sense of urgency that these calls for games for bundles can create. Um,
Yeah.
and it's a chance to put your games in like people's hands because a lot of people buy these. Um, and it can be
Yeah,
really
I mean,
tough.
there's even a whole separate conversation about, like, what does it mean to offer, uh how many games is this? Like,
Uh,
150 games for $8?
253, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of another thing that I'm considering talking about whenever I get that blog done. Is like, I think there is a degree to which like we, as game designers, like there are many ways that we cheapen ourselves, but I think one of them is absolutely through these super ultra duper mega bundles. Um,
Yeah, I have complicated relationship to that because of what we were talking about earlier about how I hate charging for stuff, and I wish we lived in a world where nobody needed money because I don't think that I don't think that anything should be charged for. But I know that that's not the world that we live in, and I get it. I really do get it. People need to fucking feed themselves, but, like, yeah, I devalue is an interesting word, I guess, uh, for me, because what are the values, I guess?
right,
But
yeah,
that's
isn't
kind of
the value
its
money?
own separate thing.
Yeah, yeah, that is a good point. Um, it is a like to think about putting your game in a bundle as devaluing the game is on some level a you know it is a capitulation to like the market on some level.
And I get it. Like, I know, people, it is genuine advice. People are like, charge money for your game because people will think that it's better. If the game is free, people will assume it is not good. And so you should charge money for it. That evidently is true. It's similar on like Bandcamp and other, put your shit here to give to people sites. Um, I wish that maybe we could interrogate that at maybe a different route. Um, but like I understand that we're gonna have to have some major social change before that is able to be relevant without hurting a lot of people. And I'm impatient for that, and that doesn't make me right. Um, but it's yeah, I wish that weren't I wish that weren't so much part of the equation.
Yeah, I think the lesson here is just complete communist global domination.
Yep.
Yeah. And to be clear, I don't mean this in a like Soviet like setting up like satellite states way. I mean this in a like communism becomes the dominant ideology across the entire world way. I think that would be good, and I think it should happen right now. Fuck, it didn't work.
Oh.
Damn. All right. How do we feel about taking a 5-minute break and then coming back to talk about another bundle that I'm actually going to link and encourage people to put games in?
Yeah, sounds great.
All right. We'll be right back. Hello, everybody. We are back with more Dovecote with Satah. Um, this is not what I meant to pull up. But anyways, there is a bundle jam. This is our second last story because it's. Listen, the weeks have been slow, and also I don't want to talk about like I don't know whatever Dune TTRPG they're working on. I don't even think they're doing one, but like you understand. Neopets TTRPG or whatever. Um, we'll talk about something much more important, which is this No Ice in California uh, bundle jam, which has 14 days to go. So 2 weeks, or like 3 weeks. Wait, no, yeah, sorry, 2 weeks. Um, uh, but this is for they're currently considering either the California Immigrant Policy Center or Immigrant Defenders Law Center. Um, I I don't know. Listen, you've probably been living under a rock if you don't know like what's going on in LA. But just to kind of uh, vaguely summarize it, ICE is kind of just arresting whoever they can get their hands on, and especially undocumented folks are being like held without trial for like you know hours to days. So it is very very important. Specifically, there was a raid of like you know uh, consumer environments, places
You are the
where
most incredible
uh,
pervert.
you know
Congratulations.
people who are not often exposed to this sort of thing were exposed to this sort of thing, and that combined with just the visibility, the sheer amount of people who live in LA has caused a big I think justifiable eruption of peaceful protests, and if they get so not peaceful, if one needs to throw a thing back at a cop, then who is like threatening the lives and permanent health and well being of people around them, then I have no issue with that, and you should not have an issue with it either.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I think like uh as a trans woman, I am like very focused on trans issues, but I think like I think that this I fear that one day this will be a trans issue, a specifically trans issue, and also there will be intersections, and also uh it is important that we fight for undocumented people who I think have like an extremely fucking rough go of it right now. Um, the sluice was already extremely closed, and they're just fucking closing it even more. And there's just nowhere to go for these folks. And there was already nowhere to go for these folks in a lot of ways. There was a very overwrought and sort of cruel legal system, and now those people are being denied even that cruel and overwrought legal system. So please, if you have games, put them in the bundle, and once this bundle comes out, please donate, because yeah. I don't know, do you have any thoughts on this, Sada?
No, seems good.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to take questions now. You can either send those to darlinggameandeclipse@gmail.com, or you can ask them in the chat directly. They can be about Satah, about going rogue and Galactic 2E. They can be about people you meet outside of bars. They can be about Hook, Line, and Cyber, which we haven't talked about at all.
Oh yeah.
Where did the inspiration for Hook, Line, and Cyber come
A few years ago, there was a tweet that went around that was like, indie TTRPG enjoyers will be like, don't play Dungeons and Dragons
Oh.
5th edition, play this game that where you're a fish, and the controlling it with a bunch of knives or something
from?
like
Right,
that.
Fishblade, yeah.
Fishblade, and then there was a game jam called Fishblade, and I I'd been working on games for a long time, but all of them were really emotional and serious. And I wanted to just actually finish and publish a game. And so I was looking at game jams and I joined this one and I was like, I couldn't think of an idea. I couldn't think of an idea. And then I literally have a picture somewhere of my e-reader in screensaver mode and a bunch of like playing cards on my computer monitor because I was laying back and reading and out of nowhere my brain went game with Go Fish mechanics. And I was like, oh shit. And I threw my e-reader to the side and got up and designed it.
Awesome.
And I love it. It's so stupid. Um yeah, I made the Game Jam edition and then I made a second edition that I like printed and um I hate it. I hate it. I hate how it looks. Um and uh, yeah, I have a complicated relationship to it. And so I've been working on a third edition that I like has like a proper layout and a couple of like streamlined mechanics because it's a really fun game and also it is a little odd to play sometimes. So basically in Hookline and Cyber you play um cyberpunk shadowrunner types and you're doing heists and it's a collaborative storytelling game, but you are playing versus each other. You are all playing separate runner teams that are stealing jobs from each other, and you play Go Fish. And every time you pick up a card, you go fish, you assign it a piece of intel. So, like, if you pick up a heart, you're going to generate a client. There's a bunch of tables. Like, the game is the book is mostly tables to be like, your client is a pop star who has a really grueling touring contract and bad press about to come out. That's who you're hiring. And all four suits are a different type of intel. And so when you assemble a book of cards, like all of the twos or whatever, you've got all the intel for your heist, and then you talk about how you pull it off. And it's really fun. And also there's a lot of like it's a game that I developed playing online where you can copy and paste things, and playing it at an actual table involves a lot of writing stuff down in a way that can make it a little bit stop and start. And so I've been like developing different ways to sort of like get around that because I want to keep it zero prep. It's really supposed to just be like a pick up and play. You literally don't need to prepare anything game, and that is always going to be true about it. But I'm trying to make some ways to streamline it. I'm also just trying to make it a little shorter. I was playing around with the idea of having it be pamphlet sized, and I don't know if I'm going to get it that short because there's a couple too many things to explain in it. But like, yeah, I have a complicated relationship with it because I think it's really fun and it's really silly, and sometimes I struggle with the fact that it is really silly and it's also like a whole book. And I'm like, maybe if it were shorter, it would sort of like take up the physical space that I think it deserves, quote unquote. I don't know, that's a little dramatic.
No, I think that's fair.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, I hear you in terms like I think sometimes when it's like I made this game as a joke and now it's 72 pages, it's like maybe we gotta reel it back. Fuck. In terms of the issue of like not having the ability to copy paste stuff, well, I have good news for you, which is that the D&D 5e has that issue and they never tried to fix it. So you're in, you've you passed that very low bar.
Oh, good. The thing that everyone in my social circle historically talks really, really kindly about. That's about where I want to be.
Love D&D 5e here. It's our favorite game on the Dovecote. But yeah, does anyone have any questions for myself or Satah? Feel free to ask them. Officially, that hook, line, and cyber. You can put that in the 3E. Matt Calder, officially better than D&D 5e. Put it on the book.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Oh my god, I was running a monthly like indie TTRPG event here in Ottawa for a little while,
Mm.
and a couple of people showed up. And when a new people show up, I would always ask them like, "What's your tabletop experience? Like, have you played anything? Have you played anything except 5th edition, et cetera, et
Mhm.
cetera?" And the month that I brought this game, because I was like, "It's my birthday. I'm going to be self-indulgent and bring my own game." Excuse me. A couple new people showed up. One of them had never played a tabletop game, and one of them had only played a bit of D&D. And I was like, I don't know if I'm being an awesome ambassador for indie tabletop right now, because this game is fun, and also like they're not all like this. I
This game
promise.
is. I'm not. Sorry, I'm very amused by. That's really fucking. That's really funny.
Like, it's genuinely, it's like a joke about like, oh yeah, I showed up at the indie tabletop night and someone was like, what if Go Fish could tell a cyberpunk heist story? And then I left. And it's like, yeah, sorry guys.
I went
They
to
didn't leave, they played, but oh my god.
I went to the Ottawa indie tabletop game, and they accidentally gave me a fun game to play instead of an indie TTRPG.
Yeah.
So, that's very me. I actually quite like indie TTRPGs as a person who makes and plays a lot of them.
Yeah. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of them generally.
Yeah. I do think it's fun to like. Well, I think part of this is just me being Jewish, where it's like the things that I like and enjoy always have to be like, yeah, we're a miserable people, like because I'm just projecting the way that I like think about Judaism on it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Let me see if we have. Do you have anything that you'd like to talk about that we haven't talked about on this show?
Oh gosh. I feel like we've covered all of the things. I'm not sure.
Aha, we have a question. Uh,
Ooh.
from Matt Calder. As an enjoyer of solo TTRPGs, what is the cool new thing in solo games?
Oh god. I mean, it's interesting because solo games are having a moment right now, it seems like. There's a lot of solo games being made, and there's a lot of like relatively high budget solo adaptations. Like, here's how to play Morkborg solo. Here's the cool solo module for Orbital Blues that was recently on both One Shot and Party of One. Like, there's a lot of them coming out, and people, I don't know why. It's in a lot of ways like, I guess it's just that people don't want to schedule like, it's so funny because I do love solo games, and also I don't really know why other people play them. Like, I feel as though everyone has their own motivation. And maybe it's just the thing that generally like production values in TTRPGs are creeping up everywhere, and so it just seems like the solo games are getting a lot more attention because suddenly they all look heavily produced and that kind
Right.
of thing. But I mean, they're cool. I don't really know what the cool new thing is because I feel like it's kind of still developing. I think that for a long time there like a huge number of solo games are hacks of the same systems. It's like Alone Among the Stars and Sam Lay's oh my god, Amnesis?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's one other one that I think is also a Sam Lay joint. And like 75% of solo games for a long time were hacks of those. And they're fantastic. And I think that they're getting crunchier, which is interesting because like I think that the original solo game stuff, like when you look at there were solo modules for like 3.5 and that kind of thing, like
Mm.
all the way back. You look at like some of the original, like even before that, war games and stuff. Like you could find people doing solo content for them, and so that was like extremely crunchy, right? Like it was taking um these games that are huge and meant to be played with a lot of people and a lot of strategy, and just giving you a way to play them alone. And then modern stuff has all been mostly pretty narrative, and now I think it's sort of doing the like gentle swing of like, hey, but also what if we had some numbers in these? What if it was less journally and more gamey and that kind of thing?
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
interesting how much things have kind of shifted.
I just love there's always these weird trends in games, and I think maybe it's just that like OSR and NSR stuff has been so huge lately that it's just sort of uh naturally leaking into other parts of the design space, where it's like, what if we crunched up the story just a little bit but not too much? you
Yeah,
know?
a question I actually have, because you mentioned like adapting TTRPGs into like multiplayer TTRPGs into solo RPGs. Um, what do you think about that? Like, do you feel like that is or actually, I'll ask specifically, what do you think are some like pitfalls potentially in trying to do that?
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I don't pitfalls, it's complicated
Mhm.
for sure. And like one of the things that's interesting is that type of play culture, like you'll see somebody, especially on solo game Reddits and that kind of thing, subreddits, you'll see somebody like, I want to play a solo game that does this. Does anyone have a suggestion? And you just have the top 5 comments are all like Pathfinder does this.
Mhm.
Kind of thing. You just bro, it's totally cool. Grab Pathfinder and an Oracle, just any
Just play
Oracle.
Pathfinder.
And it's like, so in some ways, like, I don't even think it's wrong. I think it's really fun to push people to like explore what are the different, like, what are the different parts that are being brought to this game by having a GM and players, like, and like what are the choices the book is making versus the people playing, and you get to investigate a lot of that when you're doing solo game stuff, and I think that's really interesting. I do think there is the pitfall that is just a pitfall across tabletop as a hobby, which is the 5e hack of it all. Like
Mhm.
it stops people from like the it limits people's imaginations of what games could be if they refuse to notice that there are games that are made on purpose for a solo experience.
Yeah.
Um, I think that that will always be a benefit to like experience more types of games and see like, oh wow, somebody actually curated this experience for me. I didn't have to just hack it together. Um, but it really, I don't know if there's a specific pitfall beyond the fact that people might get trapped in it and think like, maybe I don't like solo games, when actually it's that they're trying to make a game that wasn't built to play that way do it, but that maybe that's
Right.
fun for them. So I think it is in a lot of ways the exact same problem as you have getting people to play any games ever in all of tabletop
Yeah.
role-playing
Real.
games.
Fuck. Um, I have a question from chat, which is kind of in a similar direction. A question for Satah. I've heard you're a very skilled editor of games. What's the number one thing you see most often that games need to improve on?
Explicit communication of intentions.
Hmm.
Um, Game books are like such a fascinating type of document because they are this insane amalgam of technical manual and creative prose and poetry. And like, I think that a lot of problems in a lot of books can be solved by taking one sentence to say, this is what I mean by this mechanic. This is what you are supposed to achieve with it, or this is what I'm hoping you'll achieve with it. Um, I think a successful game rule book, yes, it teaches you the rules, but I think more specifically, it successfully aligns your thought process with the thought process of the designer. You think about like the Mothership Warden's Manual. Most of that book is play advice.
Right.
And I know that some people seem to have a little bit of a problem with that. I personally think it's fantastic because I think that that is what a rule book is supposed to do. I think you as a designer are collaborating with the GM and with the players in a way where like your collaboration is fixed. There is nothing more that you can't be at the table. If you were at the table, it would be different. Your book is at the table. Your book is the only way that you can contribute to that experience. And that's a really, really, really important contribution. But ultimately, it is up to the people who are reading it to fully realize that. And it is more likely that you'll be able to tell them, hey, this is the type of experience I'm trying to create, then you will be able to force them to have that experience by tricking them into following the rules perfectly, if that makes any sense. And so just like I think that people just and you don't have to sacrifice a lot of like flavor or anything for it. I think it really is something that is so small, but if you're really struggling with uh communicating something, I this is also very autistic of me, I'm aware. Directly stating the thing that you're trying to communicate is a really good way to try and communicate it. And
Yup.
sometimes a lot of books I will tell people like, "Hey, it seems to me like what you're trying to say is this. Here are the different ways I think this could be interpreted. Have you considered uh just saying, here's what I'm trying to do with this?" And just as a quick other addition to this, I think good information hierarchy and funneling. Make sure your book is laid out in a way that people will interact with it as they would if they are using it, and it parts lead to each other in a way that makes sense. That feels like it should be really obvious, but it's actually really, really hard.
People fail this
And
nonetheless.
yeah, and it's uh learning learning the flow of your game by playing it and watching other people play it, uh and then figuring out how to give them information that they need when they need it is will change everything. I think.
Absolutely. By the way, go my
Yeah.
birds. I forgot to slowly introduce them, so
There they are.
they're all coming out at once.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree, though. I think those are huge points. I think especially a person whose work you've edited a good amount. I think Jess is like fairly good at the former, in terms of like Jess. When I think of Livian's design, I think of little boxes that tell you what to do. um,
Yeah.
I think it's good stuff. I have a question for me, which is really scary. Um, for Matt Calder, for Eclipse, in honor of episode 69, what is the teacher G that allows you to fuck the most? I have been thinking about this message since you sent it, because I'm like, I'm not fully sure. I think it is. I mean,
Are there TTRPGs that don't allow you to fuck?
yeah, that's kind of my thought process. Is like any TTRPG where you start playing it and then you look into the eyes of the person across from you, and you don't play the game and you just have gay sex. I think that's the TTRPG that lets you fuck the most. I think the TTRPG that lets you fuck the most in it. But even that's like a what?
I mean, I will be completely honest. Like, Jess and I have both shared the tale of our, heavy air quotes one-shot galactic game that ended up being 12 sessions and spawning 150,000 words of in-universe fiction from
Mhm.
us, the detail we usually leave out is that 50,000 of those words were smut.
Hell yeah.
So you can fuck in any game. That's my opinion, but also it's probably Apocalypse World, right?
Maybe. I fucked in the Electrum archive, so yeah, you can do anything. Apocalypse World is, I think, people have probably had the most. People have probably fucked the most in Apocalypse World, but the game that permits the
Oh,
most
maybe
fucking.
we're approaching the definition of this very differently.
Yeah, what's your definition of it?
It I guess I was taking it at like strictly face value, rather than thinking about it enabling some sort of like literal sex between people.
Yeah, yeah, I'm also taking it. Like, I feel like Apocalypse World is a very sexy game, but I feel like I've read games recently that have been more fuckful. Which is
You
the
know,
worst possible
I
word I
think
could use.
no, it's evocative. And I
Mhm.
think that one of the things I'm realizing is just that because of my specific combination of neuroses and
Mhm.
other factors, an explicitly sexual game will probably be less sexy to me than a game
Right, yeah.
that is like Apocalypse World I think is one of the sexiest games, and I think to me it is sexier than most games, and it is explicitly sexual, obviously. It has sex moves. But I think that for me it's gonna be hotter than a lot of games that are kind of meant to be hot than it, but that's because of who I am as a person and not actually an inherent quality.
The thing is, I feel similarly, and that's why I made Sapphic World the way that it is. Like,
Yeah.
because the reason why Sapphic World like is not spread to spread babes and has some weird shit in it is like I wanted a game that like took like a setting that took itself seriously to do sex stuff in. Like, I wanted to make a
Yeah.
game that was like the sorts of things I've done in like Pathfinder, in like play by posts in dark corners of the
Yeah.
internet. Um, and I 100% align with you. It's just I'm now making work that contradicts my very edict,
Uh-huh.
and it makes me a hypocrite. Hawkmoth King. Okay, Hawkmoth King has a lot of fucking. I wouldn't define what happens in Hawkmoth King as sex. I would define it as something
Mm,
else that I don't think I can talk about on Twitch.
sure.
uh, but yeah, I I don't know. I think that the game where you fuck the most, it's yet to be made. Like a game where your main verb is you fuck something. I'm not sure if that's been done because like on some level, even in Hawkmoth, like sex is kind of a finisher. Like that is a thing that like it is a finisher or is like an intimate like moment in a lot of games. Like sexy ones love it, have it as more of a coup de grace, and like more kind of grounded like Apocalypse World type games love it as more of a you were doing a nice thing with a person. Um, but like I haven't seen a TTRPG yet where it's like you can do one thing and it's fuck. I kind of want to see that game where it's like the GM has like tables and tables and tables of things that they can offer, like a whole setting, and like your character sheet is just one word that says like actions, actions colon fuck,
Uh-huh.
and every time the GM asks like, "Oh, what are you gonna do here?" I fuck it. Um,
Well, I fuck it.
I fuck this one.
Look seriously at my character sheet. I could no. Uh oh, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna fuck it.
I have an idea that I'm not sure if this sort of table will really gel with, and I just want to be like honest about that. But like, I don't know. Are you all willing to hear me out? And everyone says like, yeah, no, of course. I'm gonna fuck this thing.
Yeah.
me me holding up my character sheet that says fuck in big Comic Sans words. All right. Um, I think that's a good place to wrap things up. Thank you so much for being on, Satah. Do you wanna direct folks towards anything else before we get out of here?
Yeah, you can follow me on Blue Sky, episodechips.gaygothvibes.online. It's
So
very
true.
long, I know. You can check out a bunch of my work at gaygothvibes.online, and I would love it if you listened to Folio. Eclipse was on a series, the second ever series called Unplugged Survivor, which is so good and made me so happy. And it's a good show. Every single series is completely self-contained and a new game and new guests, so you can hop in at any episode 1 that sort of catches your fancy. The currently airing series called Furya started on Friday, and it is a cyberpunk vampire romp by Woshi, who is also the layout designer on Galactic and Going Rogue. It's so fucking good. The episodes are so good. I play a terrible rich mob girl named Inspection.
Fuck yes, good name.
And the other 2 players are playing a butch grieving bodyguard vampire who's just like a wrecking ball, and a like wonderfully kind of like slightly whingy man in power who doesn't quite know how to handle it, and neo-noir detective type thing. There's 3 great vibes. And it's really good, and it's started on Friday, and it will be airing for the next 3 Fridays. And yeah, just pick up whatever. I'm not good at marketing it or telling people about it or saying what the episodes are, but they're good and they're out there. So thanks.
It's really cool.
And I guess you can vote for me in the Crit Awards.
Oh yeah, right. Hang on. Let me get up the Crit Awards vote page. People should vote for me and Satah in the Crit Awards.
I love it. So my Folio is in Best Upcoming Podcast, and I think all of the other podcasts who I don't know, and it's lovely, but all of them are D&D podcasts except one that I think is a Pathfinder podcast. And it's really funny to me that my weird little solo game show is in that type of company. I really feel like the group photo of us would be very funny.
Satah can't say this, but I will turn them to fucking dust, kill them all, get them out of here. And now you're gonna do the same thing for me. I really like all the blogs and articles that like I knew about those blogs and articles before going into it. I think except for one, the one that's like about D&D voices, but all like really great articles with really important things to say. And I simply hope that you vote for mine.
Do you think if you win, they're gonna say it?
That's my thing, is like, can I get them to say it on the stage?
Because it would be really funny if they said it.
Yeah, it's like they have to they go off. It's like a crowded night. We're so glad that we were able to do the Crit Awards. We found a new location because the whole thing with Gen Con. Well, we've decided to do the blogs the blogs first for some reason. We're just gonna get them out of the way. Here are the nominees. And your winner is that goes up to another person, is like, am I allowed to say faggot? Anyway.
They just come on. They just come on stage wearing a T-shirt under their suit jacket that says "I can say it."
I should suggest that.
The classic co-host, the classic co-host user badge. This person can say it.
This person can say it. Good. All right. Am I rating anyone? Yeah, you know what? My old friend Catastrophe, who used to do used to be Paprika and Cypress, has gone through a lot of different VTuber characters, but the person who made my first model ever is doing like a little re-debut, so go look at that. And everybody take care. I'll see you next week for who's on next week. Hang on. I probably know this. I mean, it's in my thing. Mostagar, who's doing not Leviathan, but the Leviathan, I think. I forget the name of that game. Anyways, they'll be on. So watch that. And bye everyone.
Bye.
Remember, if you don't like what you see, you can change it. It's up to you, really. Goodbye, good luck, and have fun!